Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast, YouTube channel. All of that, as you notice, some things are changing. We are doing some movements around here. You'll notice my background is different. It is brown because I'm in a different location. So we really practice what we preach here at Wealth Wisdom Financial, and we've been using our policies to grow in the real estate market and actually buy a commercial real estate building or condo for my office. So anyway, today though, I get to interview, and I was on his show, Jerome Lewis. He's an international speaker and #1 national best-selling author. He is the lead host of the REmarketing Podcast and the author of over 8 books. He's written lots of books. He's the founder of and CMO of Digital Real Estate Strategy, a tech and marketing implementation agency that helps serious, no-nonsense real estate entrepreneurs implement, structure, and systemize their tech, lead generation, marketing, and business systems. Now, as you know, we're all in the marketing business, regardless of where we're at. And this is why I wanted to have him on here, is to talk about marketing, not just marketing and like financial services, but he is focused in the real estate world. And as you guys know, I love the real estate world. So with that, let's invite Jerome here to the show. Hey, Jerome, thanks for being here.
Brendan, thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. So I'm excited because I was on your show, and you're actually doing some amazing things. And you have some mentors and some coaches there. Tell us how you got into this industry and why marketing of all things.
So this is really interesting because it just switched too. But the way I got into this industry was I always tell the story. I was like at a job. So I have IT background. I was in the IT space. And at the time I remember like I was just having a daughter. Like I have 4 children. I was having my daughter and I had a son and a daughter at the time. I was like, you know what? I can't afford to like take care of them the way I want to because there were so many expenses involved. I was like, how can I make this situation better? And that's
Yeah.
when I decided to like look online and research things. And a lot of what I was finding online kept saying invest in real estate, invest in real estate. But I'm like, how do I invest in real estate if I got no money? And one of the strategies or one of the suggestions that came up was like learning to wholesale. So I started researching and looking into wholesale. I found a mentor. I paid that mentor $3,000 at the time. Well, not at the time, but I found a mentor and I built a relationship with him. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for your services. And then he told me the price. He said, the price is $3,000. I was like, $3,000? There's no way I could afford that. And the timeline is a bit blurry for me. I don't remember, but I think it took me about 2 years to save up for that $3,000 to go back and pay for that mentor. And I did that. I went and paid for that mentor. I picked up some what we call in the real estate space wholesale skills. So I learned how to wholesale, and while learning how to wholesale, I would get involved in network. That's how I met you, through a networking in a REIA group. And one of the leaders here in the local area in Philadelphia, they asked me to help with growing the groups. And because I had an IT background, I thought that marketing IT was the same. So I grew some of the groups because I understood how to use the technology. And I stayed with that local group for a bit longer. And one of the things that I realized, I was like, you know what, this stuff is not the same. Tech and marketing is not the same. And I was like, I need to learn like legitimately what marketing is. Cause I'm like, if I'm growing these groups, but I'm using like skills that I don't know how I'm growing these groups. So I was like, you know what? I understand marketing a little bit from wholesaling. So I wanted to learn marketing, and I went out, same thing. I was like, how can I learn marketing? I started to learn those skills, study mentors, pay for coaches. And that's how I got into marketing.
So who is those coaches that you used? Because I know you study with some of the greats, the OGs of marketing. So who are you learning from that are feeding into you?
So if I had to share all of them, we would be here for probably like
Yeah.
an extra 30 minutes. But just to rattle off some from the top of my head, like probably the most influential is Dan Kennedy, Darcy Juarez. They like really helped me understand like the basis of marketing and how important marketing is into your business. There are a few others, like you just recently recommended that I check out Perry Belcher, right? That's his
Perry
name.
Marshall. Yeah,
Perry
Perry Marshall.
Marshall. Perry
Yeah.
Marshall, and I picked up his book and I learned a lot of great stuff from him as well. Marketing is like, it's like an everlasting, ever changing thing. So I'm always learning different things from different people. Russell Brunson is another one that comes up. There are so many people that I learn from. And actually,
Mhm.
like on my podcast, I have like a recommended books segment. And I typically try to put like all of the books that I learn things from. And I have like a marketing section that goes into details on all of the books and the marketing mentors and why I recommend them. So the people that I named, those are some of the most important. And one I can't forget to mention is Vena. Vena,
Yeah.
she helped me, like she gave me like a platform and she helped me understand the importance of marketing like very, very early on. Vena
And
Jones-Cox.
and Vina, we know her, and she might not be a well known like Dan Kennedy, but I met you through her group, or I think she's the president of that group, or something like that. But she's part of REIA Cincinnati, right? Um,
Yes.
and says some radio shows and things like that. And I'm fairly new to this group, and you're not local to Cincinnati, from what I heard even just now.
Yeah, I am in the Philadelphia area, so I'm remote. When 2020 came, it changed a lot of things for people. So I always understood technology and Zoom and doing
Hmm.
those things, but most of society didn't. And then we had the 2020 situation. I don't like to say the word because social media like to set that stuff down, but we had the 2020 situation and it made people more open to doing things virtually. And that's why I stay involved in that group. It is legitimately one of the best groups for you to learn, educate, and network from. And I'm not just saying it just because it is one of the best groups.
Yeah, as I've been a part of it, I keep letting people know about it, actually. And marketing is one thing. The relational aspect is a big deal. And I think that's kind of like the difference between marketing and prospecting. And there's sometimes having a good system, marketing, a good book, and those kind of things. But how would you differentiate for yourself the difference between marketing and maybe prospecting or getting out there and finding deals, stuff like that?
So what I would say is that marketing is like, the best way I can say is like marketing is the grandfather and prospecting is like maybe a child or a grandchild within marketing. So the best way I like to categorize it is like marketing is the, like you're always marketing. You need leads, you need business, you need branding.
Hmm.
Like that's the grandfather. And underneath marketing, you have different strategies and tactics. Prospecting is probably a tactic or a strategy. So I always like people say branding and marketing. I like to categorize it like that. You got branding and then you got marketing. And marketing is like, it's the tactics, it's the things that are involved, it's the stuff that you're doing typically.
Hmm.
And prospecting is a strategy of marketing. Like, how are you going to prospect? Are you going to do cold calling, door knocking, you attend meetings and tell people about yourself? That's like a version of marketing. So marketing is the overall structure, and prospecting is like a tactic and a strategy within marketing.
Cool. Yeah. And I think sometimes we get it mixed up, or we aren't realizing some of it's a bigger thing. Some is still needed, right? Getting phone calls, making phone calls is really important. It might not seem like marketing, but you are still relaying a voice. You're communicating in some style, which is still a marketing aspect, and then giving tools to the people that you work with. So, what have you seen as the challenges in the real estate world specific for marketing? Because I know in like financial services, it's easier. I know what it is. But why would you say a real estate investor needs to think about marketing?
Because we want deals, and this kind of why I grew over or started going over to the marketing space, because we want deals and we want to do like all of the, oh, I want a deal and I want this much return and this much money. But it's like, all right, how are you going to do that? You need to get prospects, you need to get people coming in, like who's interested in giving you a house at that discount or making you that kind of offer. And just
Hmm.
showing up to meetings or saying that I'm interested in, that's like not enough marketing. You still got to go out there and find prospects. So one of the issues that we're having, like in the REIA and as well as the agent space, is we're getting all of this education and we're learning everything. But
Hmm.
when it's time to apply it, we don't have anywhere to apply it. Like, what deal can I put these strategies that I'm learning, the subject to, and the creative? Well, like, where could I put it? I can't really do it because I don't have any deals to put it to. And the marketing is what's going to get you those deals that you can put those strategies to.
Gotcha. Well, and the other thing I've think a lot about, and I think about marketing often, as if you have been able to tell, it's not just having an email list or having a website. Some which, that radio show that she has, those things are helpful because it's building more of an educational component that people may not work with you for years, right? But they may be listening to you for a while. They might be learning and they might not be ready. You might send them a book and they sit on the shelf for a while, and then they all of a sudden something clicks and they're like, oh yeah, I got this. Have you seen those kind of things happen as you've been building your brand?
I have, and one main point I want to make is that, like you said, you see the radio show, you see networking events, you see paid advertising, organic advertising, newsletters. Those are all forms of marketing, and it's important that you have all of that out there because different people receive things in different ways, and not everybody's always ready. They say it's like less than 3% of people are ready to take you up on your offer immediately. So
Yeah.
you have to drip on them, or you have to send them messages. Different people receive information in different ways. One of the things that I like to talk about is like I have the book because there's a lot of information online and ebooks. They're so common
Hmm.
that you see, and people they go and download them and they never get to them, right? Like it's rare that we go read some kind of long form content about something that we care about, like on the computer screen.
Yeah.
We'll do it on some tablets, we'll do it on some Kindles, we'll do it in other ways, but typically like that real information when it's time to study, we like to be in like intimate settings where we can just sit down and focus on that one particular subject. And if it's a complex subject like entrepreneurship, finances, insurance, some of the stuff you do, you can't explain that all in just a couple sentences or a social media post. You got to get somebody else in a long form content. So, and the other thing, I'm getting off track a little bit, but the other thing is like if people get out there and they want the short form, short form, short form, but if somebody can't pay attention to like the real information, they only want short form
Mhm.
information, they're probably not a good prospect, probably not a good customer. Anyway, like this stuff is not easy to learn. Like
Yeah.
especially our subjects, it's not easy to learn, and people have to really go through a certain process, and you get them there with your marketing and giving them certain content.
Well, and then again, I look at in real estate, right? There are so many different ways to do real estate. And why I tell people, hey, if you build a brand or educational system around you, because I have people that are like the W2 capitalists, right? That's Jay Helms. You have Chris Prefontaine, who does more in the wholesaling world. And there are different ways in which to do it. Same with using life insurance, the way I do. There's so many ways to think through it, and we have to be asking the right questions and be an expert in that area. Real estate in general is a very broad topic, right? It's so broad, like there's so much to it. Marketing is a very broad topic, right? So being able to say, no, I'm really good at this, like a YouTube channel or whatever it is, to then communicate it. Now, you've written a couple books. What has been some of your challenges in putting this stuff in your head onto paper? And what's been some of the results or positives that you've seen from writing these books?
So one of the things I want to say, and then I'll like get to your question about like the marketing is so I'm an introvert, right? People they'll see me online and like Jerome, oh my God, you're doing so amazing. And because I speak up, sometimes people confuse me being an introvert with like my extroverted tactics or my
Yeah.
personality. And one of the things that I really appreciate about marketing, I want people to understand is that marketing is a duplication of you, your thoughts, and your business, right? So when I was going through, I told that story a little bit earlier. Some of the tactics that we did was like door knocking and cold calling, and it just
Yep.
burnt me out. And it's like, how can I do this in a way where I don't have to constantly do that? And your marketing, like your marketing will do those things for you. It delivers that message, right? I can create a video or I can create a packet and I can send that out to people. And instead of having 100 conversations, I can send 100 packages or something like that. So just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out. And so we do books, and then we also like get our clients to do books, like we service our clients. And in my experience, for me, the hardest part of the book for me is like the editing, right? So it's like the editing and making sure it's like perfect and in tip top shape. Even when you
Mhm.
send it through to editors, there are still constant errors and mistakes, and it's like a long process. And if you get caught up in that process, wanting your product to be perfect, you kind of never get the book out, right? So
Yep.
that's the biggest struggle for me. And like to kind of give the just because I like we serve clients too, the biggest struggle for the clients is like getting it out at all because they're thinking in that way where they want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And like we see the end product of a lot of other things and we think it started off perfect, but it never starts off that way. It's always going through processes and revisions and addition updates, et cetera, et cetera. So in my experience, those are like two of the biggest cons. For me, it was the editing. It's still like errors and stuff inside of the book. And I can't remember which book that I read that talked about that. It was like, look, don't worry about those things. There are going to be errors, and most people aren't going to read it anyway.
Yeah.
Most people aren't going to read it. It's a tool because people want it. They want to feel. They want to touch something. And my clients, their issue is like, I can't get the book out. Like, how do I get it out? I need to sit down. I need to write it out. And they can't gather their thoughts. So I know I gave an idea about getting it out, but they can't gather their thoughts and they don't know the process to do to sit down and write that book. A lot of times they have the idea that they're going to sit down and type it out, which is one of the worst things you can do. I understand some people do it, but sitting down and typing that thing out, you're going to end up typing it out anyway once you go through
Yeah.
the editing process. So I always recommend that people talk out their book. And my favorite strategy is like create videos around your topic or your subject of expertise and have those transcribed, because you can do two things at once. You can create a
Hmm.
course with those videos, and then you can have that transcribed into the book. And you got two products as a marketer or a business or whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. That's the really fun part about us as podcasters and YouTubers, right? We've already written the content. We just haven't put it into a book yet. But all the content is there. It's just putting it into another form. Another thing that was really fun to me is yesterday I was on a call with somebody who jumped on my calendar and they were like, yeah, I was listening to your podcast and reached out. I'm like, oh, nice. It actually works. And this happens more and more often. But as you have a clarity of your purpose, then all of a sudden more and more people jump in and they might see you 7 years down the line, 8 years down the line, and they don't know what happened to get there, the failures, the challenges. Being a business owner is no joke. There's a lot of like people think it's a sunshine and rainbows, but what have been some of the things that you're like, oh, I can't believe I did this, and now you come back and you're like, oh, that was why.
So I built an entire wholesale business, like an entire cold call center, and I didn't keep any of their properties, and I did not keep the center intact. Like I did a really good job like building it, but because I'm entrepreneur and I get like shiny object syndrome, I just like building.
Yeah.
So sometimes I lose vision of it's like, all right, keep some stuff or make something more long term. I wish I wish I had that mentality a little bit earlier, because even like we're talking about like that book process, right? I take my processes and I get it into, even if it's just a video, and I can sell that or I can turn that into some kind of product. How to build a cold call center so you can wholesale, or what I did to build a cold call center. Like those are products and things that I could use. And it kind of
Yeah.
gets into marketing. I think like I think it's like one of the most important skills that you can learn, because it helps you duplicate yourself and it helps your business grow. So like learning that, like wishing I knew about marketing a little bit earlier, and also wishing that I was thinking more long term. Like you're building stuff, you want some of this stuff to be long term.
And how have you thought about processes as you've been building and growing for yourself? Like I know you have the book that's helping people think through starting a process. What are some things that you've done to build a process for you that works for you?
So the thing that worked for me a lot is video. I'm really big on video. A lot of times people think that it's all about marketing and say, hey, look at me, I'm doing this thing. But you can use video for so many things. When I was in the IT space, we had these like documents of long, do this, then do this and do this. And it was a little bit hard to interpret. No matter how thorough
Mhm.
the instructor or the trainer made the document, it was still hard
Yeah.
to interpret and see, because the interface might change or different things change. So what I do for my processes, I generally try to record everything. And I'm going through, I'm like, all right, I want to create content, but I also want to create processes, systems, and things for my contractors, for my workers, et cetera, et cetera. So the process, like I really love technology, like video as a technology. I really love technology because it really helps expedite certain things. So anything that I'm doing in my business, I generally, not all the time, right? I would say at about 70%, but I record like most of my things. And it's so much easier to do this and people can see the screen or click around, drag and drop. Even
Hmm.
if it's like a screen recording, you can just take out your phone, because we have our phones, and you can record the screen. Like it would still be a little bit better than sending somebody a 20-page document on process A through process B. So my process in general is to record as much as possible, record all of it, and then I start thinking through like how can I turn something into content, or how can I teach somebody or something like that.
Yeah, I think that video, we make it overcomplicated oftentimes, but just recording it might look clunky and messy, but that's okay. Same with your first YouTube videos aren't going to be as good as your later ones, because you're learning and growing, branding a business, those kind of things, and how do we continue to get better?
Yes.
How long has your business been in operation?
So the marketing business has been in operation for 2 years, and the rest of the stuff I think it's about 5 years. And I want to go back to something you said, like people see like the end product, or they see like your step 3 when they're on
Yeah.
step 1. And one of the things I like to do is I like to share as much as possible. Sometimes I overshare. And when I first got into like YouTube, right, like YouTube and video, I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like creating videos, and I was talking about, like, I'm from Philadelphia, so I was talking about like
Yeah.
cheesesteaks, and
Yeah.
I was talking about bugs that flew on me, and it was a mess. And I didn't know what was happening, but I went out there and I got things
Yeah.
going, and then I just continued to grow. It's like, all right, how can I turn this into something that would be valuable to people? And I leave up all of my video, like you're saying, I leave them all up because I want people to see the progress. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, Jerome, you're doing great things. Yes, because I went through the process. I had the courage to start and to do something. That's a big problem that people have. They don't have the courage to start.
Well, and again, as we look at some of these greats that you've mentioned right in the beginning of mentors, they started somewhere, right? They might have started in the 80s or 70s, or a long time ago, right? And so they are a 40-year-old organization versus a 2-year-old organization. And a lot of times in our world, we want to compare and say, well, I'm not measured up to a this level. Like, well, this guy has a staff of 100 and has been doing it for a long time, right? And there's a lot of failures that happened. We just see where he's at now with his Instagram Ferrari, right? And you're like, I don't know. And we want to shortcut it. And here's the thing, I think there's no shortcuts. There's ways to make it a little easier, but really, when it comes to running a business, you have to do the work, right? Whether it's recording a video or writing it down, it'll take, I mean, that's a shortcut, right? I guess you could say, but you got to go through the process. And you have kids, right? So how many kids? You said 4,
4.
right?
Yep.
How old are they?
12, 10, 5, and 3.
Not nice. So I have a 4-year-old, and what I've thought about is my business is about the same age. In the beginning of starting a business, you have to like do all the butt wiping stuff, right? Things that you don't like to do. And as the business grows, you're able to have a support staff. There's other things that build, but we can't compare ourselves to a teenage business when we're a baby business. So how do you, for yourself, avoid that comparisonitis, I guess you could say, for yourself and for your business, and say, I'm here. I want to grow up and mature to here.
I think that, like, and I have a friend, I have like an accountability group, and they say, Jerome, like, you're different, which I understand I could be different a little bit, but I think it boils down to like personal development.
Mm-hmm.
And I like went into personal development a little bit early, I think, right? I thought it was late, but they say it's early. So I was about 19 and I started to learn, like, I need to love myself. I need to
Yeah.
care about myself. I need to not compare, right? My journey is my journey. And I'm not saying that sometimes people will take that in a selfish way, but I'm not
Yeah.
saying it. And, if my business is, it's like you said, like if my business is only 5 years, 2 years old, like it's a child, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
have any independence yet. So it doesn't make sense for me to compare my business to somebody else's child, right? That's a teenager or an adult. It absolutely doesn't make sense. And only thing it will do for me and my confidence is make me feel less than. So it's not even worth it. I don't even do that. I don't even have those exercises, or I don't even go through those things. I don't compare myself because I'm on my own journey, and nothing good comes from it most of the time, right?
Yeah.
If you have the right mindset where you can be like, okay, I like what that person is doing. I'm going to pull that article of clothing, right? Since we're talking about children, and I'm going to put that on one of my children and my business. So that's how I think about it. I generally try not to compare myself to other people because I don't think it's really worth it.
Yeah. And I think that's again where I wanted you to say to the audience here is we're in a world of, Instagram, Facebook, how many subscribers do you have and all that other stuff. And sometimes that can get us into feeling horrible about our accomplishments when we've accomplished like a business that's thriving after several years or just starting out. There's so much more to it. And that's where I really want you guys to hear.
I was gonna say I have a recommendation. So I like been through personal development, and it's like it's a lot of great stuff out there. But for people that's like trying to get over that hump or not compare themselves to anybody, a really good book that I recommend, like it's probably my favorite personal development book of all time right now, is Psycho Cybernetics. It's a really great book on helping you understand how you should think about yourself, not
Mhm.
compare, and like self-actualize what you want to do and what you want to be.
Awesome. Well, definitely. Here is your website, jeromelewis.com. Anything you want to share with the listeners here that they should be looking at?
I would say, so you see that quote right there? I think that
Hmm.
that fits the temperature of our conversation right now. Like
Hmm.
progress over perfection, results over reason, execution over excuses. We just need to get out there. We need to go and create stuff. Get out there and do it. I generally work with people that are over that hump of being scared to get out there and create content and stuff like that. If you are like trying to get to the point where you're creating content and you need help with marketing or something like that, you can like schedule a consultation. I have a calendar on that website down there. I've got a ton of books. I got a YouTube channel, LinkedIn. I'm like all over social media. So my links and everything are available there. But yeah, my biggest thing that I would like to deliver to people is like, get out there and create. You have a message that you need to deliver to people. You have a gift, and it's honestly kind of selfish. And to me, it's a little bit frustrating when people make those excuses because we
Yeah.
have gifts and talents that we need to share and give to people. So
I
yeah.
like that you have your profile and what you are, because a lot of people, what I've found is self-reflection really helps you figure out more of the business. And a lot of people don't think about internal questions, asking themselves questions of who they are, what brings them joy, what's their makeup. And I think that's a powerful thing to really know where you want to go. That's kind of where we think about the still method that we developed.
And it's like, I think it's like one of the foundations of business. Like it's a foundation of you being a person, but it's a foundation of business too, because you can't like, everybody's not going to come in with the same attitudes, with the same goals, with the same aspirations, right? Like I
Yeah.
do the business that I do because I like that. I like the energy. I like being in that field. I like building things. Some people are a little bit more passive. They maybe don't want to be in the front, or they want to do something passive. They just want to invest or something like that. So it's important that you understand yourself so you can
Yep.
translate those qualities and that understanding into your business.
Yeah. And I think that's as we're helping people in marketing and all of this. I think this is a REIA group, I believe.
Yes.
Uh, I'm pretty
And
sure.
that's mentioned, you
Um,
mentioned him earlier. That's Chris Prefontaine there.
I was like, I think I know that guy. Yeah, Chris is awesome. He's a good connection. So anyway, check that out, guys. Go to jeromelewis.com if you want to learn all things marketing. And it's not that you don't do deals; you learn this and doing the deals. Document it so that way you can help other people. I know that Chris does lots of deals, a whole lot of deals, a ton of deals. But he also has a community. He has a book. He has a podcast. He has done a lot of those things and a legacy for a family. That's the things that we want to create for you guys. But we don't compare ourselves to Chris. We compare ourselves to ourselves yesterday. Any last words you want to share, Jerome, before we sign off?
I think that quote was very appropriate. Like if anybody's out there like struggling or thinking, "Oh, I'm not perfect," or "I can't do it," anything like
Mm-hmm.
that, you just got to push past that stuff because there are people that need you. There are people that need your message. There are people going to like you just because you're you. So get out there, create the content, get out there, get inspired so you can create wealth and start to provide for your family and your loved ones. That's what I have to say.
Cool.
And I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, guys, don't forget, I always forget to do this. I am a bad, I guess, marketer. I forget to say, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with a friend, do all that stuff, write a review because those things help. But really, we want you guys to thrive, not just barely survive. We want you guys to be the solution to other people's problems as well. That's why we're out there. That's why I want you to write a book and do those things, because we are needed to be our fullest self so we can help others be theirs. So thanks, guys, for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.